Oxygen masks were released on flight FR7312 from Dublin to Zadar in Croatia last night as it lost cabin pressure and diverted to Frankfurt-Hahn Airport, Ryanair said in a statement. In line with standard procedure, the crew deployed oxygen masks and initiated a controlled descent, the airline statement said. A log on flightradar24.com showed the flight descending from 37,000 to 10,000 feet over a 7-minute period 80 minutes into the flight. Were you on the flight? Email webnews@trinitimrer.com. Passengers posted photos on board including one gruesome shot of an oxygen mask splattered with blood as they complained about being left stranded at a military airport for 12 hours due to a lack of accommodation. Minerva Galvin, a Spanish journalist, wrote on Twitter a picture from one of the passengers of the flight FR7312 from Dublin to Zadar. She cannot fly due to her injuries. We are still in the Frankfurt-Hahn. No information, no alternatives, no place to rest. Police described the landing as an emergency landing, but Ryanair said the plane landed normally. Ryanair said the plane landed normally and customers disembarked, where a small number received medical attention as a precaution. A spokesman for German police said 33 of 189 passengers were hospitalized, some bleeding from their ears. The spokesman said some were still receiving treatment on Saturday. Myamar Todorovic posted on Facebook, emergency landing on Frankfurt-Hahn. I can barely hear my right ear. Important that we survived. Ryanair said a flight from Frankfurt to Zadar was due to leave on Saturday morning. Police said some passengers had decided not to continue with their journey. Ingrid Melbauer-Paulin wrote on Twitter, "My friend was on Ryanair number FR7312 and heard a pop, followed by a drop. Thankfully they landed safely in Frankfurt, but have been treated very poorly in the 10 since. Sleeping on the floor in a military airport with no blankets and no information about what happened." Minerva Galvin wrote on Twitter, 12 hours ago we had an emergency landing from our flight FR7312 from Dublin to Zadar at the airport Frankfurt-Hahn. We lived very scary moment. We are abandoned at the airport. No bus, no alternatives, no place to rest. We cannot fly. We need help. At Ryanair number Ryanair said it had agreed to pay for hotels for the affected passengers, but said there was a shortage of available accommodation. Ryanair, which flies in 37 countries and carried 130 million passengers last year, is Europe's largest airline by passenger numbers, according to the International Air Transport Association. An emergency descent by an Air China aircraft on Tuesday after cabin oxygen levels dropped has been linked to a co-pilot smoking an e-cigarette during the flight, state media said on Friday. Another passenger reported on Facebook that the air went cold and the oxygen masks dropped, adding that there was a dive of 3,000 meters in less than 1 minute. He said a lot of people complained about sore ears, but praised the pilots for doing an excellent job. The Tezgespajal newspaper reported that 33 passengers were taken to hospital, adding that federal police said passengers were complaining of headache and earache and suffered from nausea. A Ryanair spokesman said this flight from Dublin to Zadar July 13 diverted to Frankfurt Hahn due to an in-flight depressurization. In line with standard procedure, the crew deployed oxygen masks and initiated a controlled descent. The aircraft landed normally and customers disembarked, where a small number received medical attention as a precaution. Customers were provided with refreshment vouchers and hotel accommodation was authorized, however there was a shortage of available accommodation. Customers will board a replacement aircraft which will depart to Zadar this morning, and Ryanair sincerely apologized for any inconvenience.